Welcome once again, saints. Many of you know that in life we always will be tested. And the topics I've been sharing with you is a reminder that in the original language, every trial is a test, and every test is a trial in the original Greek. Therefore, whenever we go through trials of different kinds, Yahweh is testing us to see if we will trust our feelings, if we will trust our fears, if we will trust our friends, if we will trust our family instead of trusting Him. Once again, what I passed through in experiencing COVID and sickness for the first time in my entire life, that was a test. Because as most of you know, Yahweh brought me out of it without medical help beside the shots I got after I recovered from COVID. But this is also a reminder for all the members of PCF, their families, and even those who are not members of our church, but their friends and family. You've got to share this word, that whenever God brings us to a crisis, we always have to interpret the crisis correctly. Is God testing me? And most of the times, He is. He is not sending you or me through a crisis just because He wants to. He's sending us through a crisis because He's testing us. Let me share a concept that all of you already know. You are only promoted after you have passed your test. Let me say it again. In life, we go to school. We go to different forms, different standards. And at every level, we are tested before we are promoted. In life, Yahweh, our great Lord and teacher, tests us if we are trusting Him, not only when our parents take us to school, but if we are trusting Him when we're teenagers and we're going to school on our own, either with a school bus or driving, getting to school. And now the parents are not holding our hands anymore, but Yahweh is still looking at us to see if we're remembering the principles He taught us. So today, once again, the entire world, or at least most of the world, is not out of the COVID crisis. It's still here. Many countries have different crises that they're facing. And right here in Houston, at PCF, we have passed through one crisis. Yes, I said one. Because the Bible tells us that many times God takes us through different crises. Sometimes one after another. Sometimes one, a quiet period, and then another crisis or test will come our way. Here at PCF, we went through the challenge over the years of members coming and going, and we were able, by Yahweh's grace and your faithfulness, to finish off purchasing that entire property at Hillcroft and West Belford. Thousands of dollars we paid over the years. Faithful members Some of you are still here. But we paid out for it in good times and in bad times. Some people paid joyfully. Some people paid and grumbled. Some people gave up. But one thing sure, the Bible says, he who has begun a good work in you will complete it. The reason why my emphasis is continuous on this challenge that all Christians face at one time or another is that the devil is constant. The person who brings trials and tribulations to us is the devil. But God uses the challenges we face as a test to see if we will trust him, not only in good times, but if we will trust him in difficult times. And if you were to read the Bible, you will notice God's presence with us does not mean that we will never have troubles and trials. That itself is a deception from the boardroom of the devil. So that many Christians complain when they have troubles and trials, forgetting that throughout the Bible, God permits troubles and trials for his own people. The same way a mother, a father sends his son, her daughter, to school to make sure that she passed the test of life, that the young boy learned to do his math and English, and the young girl is as smart as anyone else. And we do that week after week and month after month. After elementary school, then we go to secondary school, high school, and then we go to college, grad school. Some people even get their doctorates. But notice, we accept those as the natural flow of life, moving from one grade to the other. We accept it. But when it comes to our personal lives, when it comes to our spiritual life, and Yahweh is taking us through different tests, the devil steps in and say, you don't deserve that. Oh no, if God were a good God, he will not be putting you through that. I just want all of us to remember, the devil is a liar. He always has been, and he will forever be until the Lord ends his existence. But he loves to come to us Christians and get us to complain that we don't deserve trials or tests. And many Christians give in to that reality. Oh, such a challenge. I read right here in America where a young girl in a foster home disappeared. You couldn't find her for approximately over a month. And then they found her in a home nearby, hiding. But when she was hiding, she was over 4 months pregnant. Somebody either had intercourse with a 14-year-old girl. They didn't say if she were raped. You can call it that because she was not an adult to give the consent to have that. And one of the first things she said, I want to keep my baby. A test. What do you do when someone imposes pressure on you, someone abuses you? How many women listening to what I'm saying right now, both PCF members and family and friends, none of us will want our son and especially not our daughters, to be raped and left there as if she were just simply an animal passing along. And she does not know what to do, confused, realize that she is pregnant, afraid to go back to the foster home, but does not know what steps she should take going forward. Remember the time in the past I preached on a topic similar? What to do when you do not know what to do. In this COVID crisis, which still has not left us, many people have asked and failed in the challenge and the tests we face, even Christians. How do you handle this crisis, this test? When you are single, that's one way to handle it. But now you have a family. You got to protect yourself, your wife, and your children from COVID. Protect your wife or yourself from getting fired from that job where you have 3 children to take care of. But here it is, you got laid off. What to do when you face trials of different kinds? The Bible asks that question, and the answer is already there. Many of you know that statement that we have in Isaiah 65, where it speaks clearly that God will take you through trials of different kinds. And the question is, do you know how to respond? Do you know how to answer? What do you do when your daughter comes home pregnant? I know that when my sister Sandra came home pregnant and my mother did not know what to do, did not know, all she knew is what she was taught, that shame is being brought upon her. And Sandra, as she was coming home, she asked me, Edson, I'm pregnant. I know I have to face mommy. Can you come to mommy with me? And I said yes. And we faced that test together. Do you know who you can turn to help you when you are going through your trial or your test? Do you know? Who can you turn to when the rain starts storming? When you are out of school and you're out of money and you cannot finish your degree? When you have had an affair and you have got to face your wife or your husband because it's out there. Different crises we face. How do you respond? Many times when you do not know how to respond. But what I want to share with you, this crisis that we are going through reminds us of how the Bible tells us we should think. Because if we have the mindset that every test is a trial and every trial is a test, then you got to look and see what God says. He said, when I try you, you will come forth as gold. When I try you, you will come forth as gold. When I try you, you come forth as gold. God is saying to every Christian, every member of PCF, the trial and the test is never designed to break you. The trial and the test is never designed to end your life or existence. God is testing you because he wants to promote you. Let me say that. As you notice, this series and the messages I'm speaking is around surviving what we're going through. When I try you, so people have to stop thinking that the devil is the only person who will benefit from what you're going through. The devil will bring the trial and the pain and the hurt to you. God sees it. And God says, I am in you. For all you who are Christians, Yahweh is in us. And he's simply saying, you must learn to trust me, who is on the inside of you, than the evil devil and the dangerous devil, Satan or Satana, on the outside of you. God will not protect Christians from troubles and hardships and from tests. The same way we go to school. And the only way we get a promotion is after we have passed our test in grade 5, in grade 6, in grade 7. So I want everyone at PCF hearing my voice, do not complain about a test because Yahweh permitted it. Just like how a teacher will love you, but she makes sure that you take your test and pass your test. Because if she loves you so much, she wants you to be promoted. And we, as Christians, members of PCF, we want God's promotion. But we complain when we have got to take the test. I expect great things from PCF. You know why? One big sign is that God has preserved the leadership. As pastor, I went through COVID, but God allowed me to be infected, but not hospitalized, not knocked down, never die. Minister Ray is still there. Minister Orlando, still there. Sister Jill and Sister Sharon, the entire board of PCF is still here. I ask the question that I think is important. God has preserved the leadership of PCF. That tells me he has something for PCF to do, that he has trusted this leadership not to be knocked down nor knocked out. One thing sure, I know he started a cleansing with me. And that cleansing is not for yesterday. Oh, let me say it again. When God cleanses us, when God tests us, it's not for the past, it's for the future. I'm not expecting a smaller future than what we had. Or the past, I should say. I'm expecting a great future because he has given us his strength, his presence, his wisdom, his determination to make sure that we pass our test. So you are not simply someone who's watching something happen on the television. What PCF is going through is live reality. Because what Yahweh promised, he fulfilled. When I test you, you will come forth as gold. Oh, this is so important. Too many people are afraid and don't want Yahweh to test them. But when they go on their jobs, their boss tests them. All of you who hear my voice, you know that's true. You either have to have a certificate which shows that you have accomplished so much, or they will call your past boss and verify who you really are when you're working. And so today I ask all of you, do you consider what we are going through something that we can master and overcome? Or do you want to give up? I have had over 5 persons, pastors, ministers, who have come by and asked to rent or purchase the property. I've hinted to the church board. We have no detailed discussion about it. But I know we all are seeking God's guidance and wisdom, what to do, especially when you do not know what to do. Yahweh knows. Hispanics came by, black pastors, some pastors from overseas, some right here in America came by and asked. Some asked also, can we worship at a different time to when you guys are worshiping, when you go back? All of that has happened. And the board, along with myself, we're asking Yahweh for wisdom as to what to do and then how to do it. So I'm not speaking in the abstract. I'm speaking from a present reality. Now that we are coming out of COVID, and we're asking Yahweh what it is you want us to do. You have given us a trial, a test, and you have preserved the leadership. Therefore, from my leadership perspective, the first question we need to ask is, Yahweh, what it is you want us to do now. You have taken us through the test, and now we're asking you, what do you want us to do as we move forward? All we know is it must be positive. It cannot be retrograde. There's no going back when it comes to God bringing you out of a test. Nobody passed Form 1 or Grade 1 and needs to go back to the previous grade. Every time we pass our test, promotion is the next thing on the horizon. And I hope the members of PCF are hearing me clearly. When God has brought us through a test, we have paid off for this property. The question is not where we will go and who we will go give it to. The question is, Yahweh, what is the promotion you have for us? Because we didn't do it by ourselves. You did it to us. And so the question for all the members, I'm asking all of you, pray and ask Yahweh for wisdom. Because whatever conviction God gives me and the church board, we'll have to share it with you. So all of us need to pray right now. Not some of us, all of us. God, give us the right step we need to take into the future that you have for us. Did somebody hear that? Let me repeat it a different way. Yahweh our God, you who brought us so far, you promise that you will never leave us nor forsake us. And you promise that when you try us and test us, we will come forth like gold. That means promotion. That means expansion. That means more blessings now in the future than we had in the past. Because you promised that if we were brass before, now that you have tested us, you have ensured that we are now gold. I expect greater blessings than we had before. Yes, he blessed us tremendously. I can speak for myself right now. By Yahweh's grace, he has empowered me to raise up 4 churches in the Houston and Baytown area. Since I recovered from COVID, I traveled to Baytown and I saw that church there, still standing. Met some of the old members there. Went around to the one here in Houston, the other one that we sold. All of that. I went and I looked. The Lord brought me from there, there. And this one now, And that happened when I was in the previous conference, the Adventist conference. But now I'm independent. And PCF is owned by PCF, not by a conference organization. But I'm excited because from the time I have been saved, Yahweh has saved me for a purpose. He has saved all of you who are here at PCF for a purpose. And the purpose is not going backwards. It is expansion. It is increase. Because the Bible says, when he try you, you will come forth as gold. So I'm not concerned about yesterday. I'm not afraid of tomorrow. All I'm asking is Yahweh for the wisdom to know what are the plans he has for us. I asked for the gift of discernment this entire week as I was praying, the gift of wisdom, so that I can know what it is he wants us to do in the midst of the crisis. I read this past week of the earthquake that was there in Turkey. And the young lady, one of the young ladies, I should say the young girl who survived. The Bible tells us, not a Bible, a story tells us that I read that she lost her mother and her sister. And more than 2 weeks after the crisis, after the earthquake, she heard a voice calling for her. Calling for her. And she was buried, it said 12 feet down with all kind of debris and dust over her. It was her father's voice. And she answered, and they got excited. And he did everything possible to go and to reach her and help to dig her out. And I read this week, and when it is that they met each other, there was such a hugging and a reunion. Papa! Papa! And he welcomed his daughter, rescued her, and they're together now. Even though she has lost her mom and her sister, she was so glad to call Papa. I'm asking all of you, when you're buried with bills that you can't pay, confusion on your job, somebody leaving, somebody divorcing you, somebody giving up on you, can you say, Papa? Yahweh said this to all of us, call on me, and I will show you great and wonderful truths you do not know. Are we calling on him, PCF? Asking him to guide our future? Because there are only two roads to the future. Faith or fear. But since our God is the omnipotent, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-wise God, we can face the future with confidence. We did it in the past. We can do it now. Because God's promise is, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Not today, not tomorrow, not forever. I will always be with you. And because of the constancy and the permanency of Yahweh's presence, we can face the future with confidence, pass our test, and experience and enjoy our promotion. In the name of Yeshua Christ our Lord, believe it.